Black Mountain Poetry movement was associated with the college, Black Mountain College, located in Black Mountain, North Carolina. The college lasted from 1933 to 1956. It's kind of coined as the idea of an experiment in art. The school was started by John Andrews Rice, who left Rollins due to a giant argument over the curriculum at the school. Um, Rice felt that teaching art was just as essential to education as teaching history, math, science, or literature. So he started a school with that idea of emphasis on art. As a result, many artists came to this school, which would create the movement. This school was very different because it was owned and operated by the faculty. They had usually only around 50 students at a time who were responsible for farming, kitchen duties, constructions, cleaning, and other activities. It kind of ran on a democratic system. The students really got to choose who their teachers were, and the teachers were more of a mentor to them, and they got to decide when they wanted to graduate. So as a result, out of this program, we had the Black Mountain Poets, which was kind of a progressive poem movement from 1940s, 1950s, and it's going to impose the traditional standards of poetry that existed at that time and in past poetry. What they coined as their type of poetry was projective verse poetry. And it's the idea that poetry should not be so focused on meter or rhyme, but instead the composition should only have meter from the natural breaths a person takes. The poetry was supposed to be kind of a looser form of poetry. Charles Olson was the main advocate of this poetry movement and kind of founded it. He stressed the idea of a looser form of poetry, and he felt that usages of metaphors and similes was lazy. Some other famous poets include Robert Cleary and Robert Duncan. Robert Cleary is the poem that I chose to explicate his work. He was born in Arlington, Massachusetts in 1926 and he died in 2005. He grew up with his mother and his sister and was blind in one eye as a result of an accident when he was 4. He attended Harvard, but he left because he felt the teachers had this superior attitude towards everyone around him and did not agree with it. He was married 3 times, and in the late 1940s to early 1950s, when after he left Harvard, he'd meet Charles Olson, who became a mentor, and together they kind of formed the Black Mountain Poetry Movement because Robert Cleary would go and teach at Black Mountain College for a little bit. His poetry style rarely changes. He uses little metaphors, long words, or rhymes. The poem I chose is called The Rain by Robert Cleary. All night the sound had come back again, and again falls this quiet, persistent rain. What am I to myself that must be remembered, insistent upon so often it is, that never the ease, even the hardness of rain falling will have for me? Something other than this, something so instant. Am I to be locked in this final uneasiness? Love, if you love me, lie next to me. Be for me like rain, the getting out of tiredness, fatuousness, the semi-lust of intentional indifference, be wet with a decent happiness. The poem begins with a speaker's mind that's constantly wandering and keeps coming back to the thoughts of wanting to be cleansed in noon because of the mention of rain, and rain cleanses the earth. And the second stanza with the question, the speaker in this sense is questioning his or her own worth and trying to figure out what really drives them in life and what they ultimately want. Stanza 3, we start realizing that he wants to be free of worry and hesitation and the pain that is associated with love, and wants to be free but believes it will be futile, and that something like rain can't even cleanse his or her thoughts. The fourth stanza is when the speaker realizes that there's a really small possibility to find freedom from these hesitations and to find someone that will love him despite all their flaws. The next poem, the speaker is mentioning about love. Love if you love me. And it's showing that the speaker wants to find a perfect, true love that has no hesitation and that doesn't have an emphasis on flaws and just loves the person for who they are. The sixth stanza is when the speaker ultimately tells the audience his or her desire for happiness. He's saying, be wet with a decent happiness, and you can think about how rain falls around everything and covers it. That this is maybe what he or she is looking for. The speaker of the poem is unknown. The audience is the speaker, and it's kind of his or her personal thoughts. The imagery is rain, comparing it to cleansing. The tone's kind of calm but serious. The theme is ultimately a search for happiness, and the subject is a person's desire to find happiness in love.